Hi.
Hi. How was your paper?
Pepper. I should say it was engaging, but low is marked out of impression, so I know I did my best.
Okay.
Yes.
Father Lord Jesus, you had that. Anyway, a quick one.
Okay.
So you know Cousin Regan, right?
Yes, Regan. You want to talk about Regan?
Yes, your brother.
He will sue you.
Not him. I haven't said his second name. Anyway, so Cousin Regan has been in the poultry business for some time. Time I got to know him, he had those little chicken.
Yes.
And I asked him after some time if he had sold them, and like, oh, they died, blah blah blah, blah, you know. Then he keeps on doing that business, but he gets to certain stages, like the time when it was for laying eggs, and then I asked him how is it going. He's like, oh, it's disturbing, the prices, eggs, this and this, damages and all that. Then you know, he has always had issues with all the different stages at different times he has done this business. So what advice would you give him so that if he decides to start again this time, he tries to correct those mistakes that he has been doing?
I wonder whether I have ever taught about the concept called the value chain. But I think I could teach it today. Everything we try to do has a beginning and a process it goes through towards maturity, where we would have added a lot of value. Let's look at agriculture. You plant seed. After planting seed, you irrigate, you weed, it grows, you harvest, you dry, you mill, you package, you transport, you sell to the restaurant. So what starts as a maize seed ends up on the plate as portion.
True.
So we add value to the maize seed when we plant it. We add value when we irrigate. We add value when it grows and we weed and we harvest. Now we add value to the harvested maize when we dry it. We even add more value to the dried maize when we mill it. We add more value when we package it.
Okay.
We add more value when we transport it from where we've packaged it to sell to the shops, to the hotels, to the restaurants. Now, that is what they call the value chain. From the start of the seed to the end when it's portion. Now, look for all the different products. They go through the process called value addition in a chain. Now, what people forget is when you're going to go into any business and you are a startup, usually you're going to struggle with capital. Now, when you're a startup and you're going to struggle with capital, you need to make sure you do not go through the whole entire value chain.
Wow.
What do I mean? You can't be into poultry and then you buy, you are into poultry, you have very little money for startup of the poultry business, but then you buy a one-day-old chick. You actually don't start with a one-day-old chick. You start by constructing shelter. You buy a one-day-old chick. You immunize. You provide the heat. You feed. They grow. Is it immunization? Vaccination. You vaccinate. They grow up to a level where they are feeding a lot. After feeding a lot, you now struggle with bringing in the maize bran, the feeding. Then it reaches a time when they have to lay eggs. Then you struggle with the collection of eggs, the trays. Then you market the eggs. Then after marketing the eggs, you start supplying.
Okay.
There you are going through the whole entire market, the
The
entire
whole
value
value
chain, from the 1-day-old chick to the egg.
Yeah.
Now, I want to give you some news flash. The company, the biggest company on the New York Stock Exchange, is called Apple. Just get me that iPad, please.
Okay.
Just stay online, get the iPad. I want you to read some small words on it.
Okay.
Read the very small words below it. You can even show the people the very small words on it as you read.
It says designed by Apple in California, assembled in China. Should I continue?
No, leave it there. So, designed by Apple in California,
Yes.
assembled in
China.
China. Apple, which is the world's largest company on the New York Stock Exchange, has never made a phone, has never made an iPad, has never made an iPhone, has never made iPods. They design in California, and then they pick up their phone call and call up all these other companies which manufacture, and they give them instructions on what to manufacture. Then they choose from what has been manufactured. They use their statistical teams for quality control. They check, they pick the best. Then they send to China for assembly. After the assembly, they market so well and sell. They do not sit down and make the chipsets, the transistors, the cover, the batteries. In fact, you will be surprised when you go and read about the iPhone 10, the iPhone X. It had parts made by Samsung.
Okay.
So what is Apple doing? Apple does not go through the whole entire value chain of, for example, making this iPad. They do not go through it. They have a point of entry. Their point of entry is design and coming back when it has been assembled. And what has it helped them gain? $2.88 trillion by market capitalization. If you want to know how that big is, that is the whole entire GDP of African countries combined. One American company. So, one American company, it has the whole entire total GDP of African countries combined. Why? Because they chose a point of entry, and that is where they entered the value chain to make these devices. How do I know that that is the best format? John 14:6. John 14:6 says, Jesus is saying, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the light. No one comes to the Father unless through me. So Jesus is saying, no one can go to his Father unless through him. What the verse is actually saying is that Jesus is a broker. If you want to go through to his Father, you have to go through to him.
Yes.
Now, how can we use that verse and juxtapose it for all our people who are struggling and doing startups? Look at what you want to deal in. Is it poultry? Look for the point of entry and say, I'm going to deal in chicken feeds. No one will go to the chicken feeds unless through me. Let me deal in only selling eggs. No one will access very good eggs